Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR My Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day or night wherever you are as we get ready to go racing here in the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, as well as some Cup Series racing coming your way today as we jump straight into the action here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Only one race again for the Truck Series in this episode, but starting in the next episode, we will be back to 2 races per episode to bring to the end of this regular season for us here in our rookie season in the Truck Series. But today we have Charlotte for all 3 series. The sub races will return next episode as well. I do have a points update for the Truck Series at the end of this episode here, as things were going very smooth here in Charlotte to start off the weekend here. We had a good qualifying time, a good practice time, and you're about to see my qualifying effort here on the screen. But in practice we went up to the top of the board. Actually, it didn't show my best lap there, but we did go to the top of the board. But we come through to start our qualifying attempt here in Charlotte. We're going to be racing under the lights here tonight as the sun is just going down now as we were starting this qualifying session. But it was a good lap, and our first lap ended up being our best one. The second one was a little bit worse. I lost control of the truck a little bit. We ended up qualifying second to John Hunter Nemechek, who's had I don't know how many poles this season. It is unbelievable how many poles he has had. So we still at least qualify on the front row and would get ready to go green here. Now in the stages tonight here, we got 45 laps for this race in Charlotte. Stage 1 is 10 laps. Stage 2, so stage 1 comes to a close at the end of lap 10. Stage 2 comes to a close at the end of lap 20. Then we race to the end of lap 45 to determine the finishing order of this race. Now I saw some comments after some of these road course episodes saying we should maybe not throw cautions at the end of stage 1 and 2 at road courses, and I'm going to start doing that for the Trucks and Xfinity Series only, because when we get to the Cup Series, we'll be doing quite lengthy races, so cautions will work into it okay. So in Trucks and Xfinity races from here on out, throughout road course races, we will no longer have stages that bring out cautions, but there will still be stages in stage 1, just no caution when it actually comes to a close. Now, as we are underway here from Charlotte Motor Speedway, Nemechek with a great start, Cornelius there in second. Davin had a great race and rode Atlanta last time out, won a stage, was competing for the race win, but just didn't quite have enough to hold off Nemechek. Now, as we had a run-in with Jay Cook there in that 00 Taco Bell Silverado, so maybe watch out for us tonight to see how we race each other now, as we've been causing a bit of havoc on the track here this season. We've been fast. We've been very fast. We only have one win, though, and these mile and a halves are probably the tracks that I concern about the most, because it comes down to tire conservation. And what is my biggest weakness on iRacing? Tire conservation. So these are the only tracks where I really feel like I have to really be hard on myself to save tires, and you're going to see that probably come into effect in this race. As you can see, I was pushing a little bit hard, maybe a little bit too hard on these opening laps. Now we got to John Hunter Nemechek, and on the exit of turn 4 in lap 2, I looked to the inside of him, and I was feeling all nice and confident. And usually when you're confident at the early of a run for myself in iRacing, that's not a good thing. That means usually I'm burning up my tires. So I passed John Hunter, but he would actually fight back down the back straightaway here on lap 3. So we go side by side down into turn 3, and then I catch on very quick that if you can pin the AI down to the inside on the exit of these corners, they will check up quite a bit. So that's going to be an opportunity for us hopefully later in this race to use that to our advantage here. Now as Sheldon Creed, he would get up into second place, send one up the inside of myself down into turn 3. He's had a lot of speed this season, of course, and he's actually going to clear me on the exit of turn 4, but we fight back a little bit, but nowhere near as good of a run compared to what we had on Nemechek just a few moments prior. Now as Cornelius is going to try and take us 3 wide through the tri-oval here. There's going to be some contact there in my quarter panel with Cornelius. We save it. We keep going in the right direction, but a little bit of damage there to our left rear quarter panel after that contact with the fellow Canadian of ours. John Hunter really losing momentum there on the inside. You can see a lot of trucks on the inside just in general losing a lot of momentum, so that second lane might be where you want to be if you're in at least a battle with somebody here tonight here. Now as we come to the center of 3 and out of turn 4, Nemechek back out. In front of us in the background, Crafton and Hocevar going to the outside wall there. A big hit for both of those drivers. Now Crafton DNF'd last episode after getting turned by Lando Norris, and now here he is again having a rough go in just stage 1. Hocevar with a lot of damage as well. Crafton's going to come to a complete stop. The caution will come out here in stage 1. Crafton, Hocevar, both into the pit lane. They are not out of this race completely, but they will be out for a considerable amount of time in this race. So no pit stops necessary under the caution. So we would get ready to go back green after things had settled down, and this would only leave us to 2 laps left in stage 1 as we get back underway. And once again, you saw my original start. It wasn't that great. It didn't take off very good, and this restart was a little bit better than the original start, but certainly still wasn't anywhere near what it needs to be competitive on a restart. I feel like restarts are going to really bite us in the playoffs, and that's where it's really going to be important for us to make sure we're nailing everything, especially with us having a lot of speed right now, but we're struggling to pick up playoff points and win races because we keep finding ourselves into trouble. But that's a part of the learning process. We're down in the Truck Series for a reason. We're learning, and we're going to continue to work our way up the ladder into the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. We're not coming from an oval background, a part of the storyline. We come from the open wheel background, and I will start to actually be showing some open wheel racing updates for some other content creators overseas in Europe and how they're doing. You're going to see Jimmy Broadbent. You're going to see Matt212 from YouTube, Ereva, Tiamat Marduk as well, and Tom Martinez, Tom97. So very excited for you guys to see how they're doing overseas. As you can see up front, though, side-by-side battle here between Nemechek and Creed on this final lap now of stage 1, but it's Sheldon Creed who would hold on to win this first and opening stage and pick up another playoff point there as we would cross the line, at least inside the top 5 there. So P4, I was pretty happy with that, but obviously right now the only thing that matters is picking up playoff points, as we're already locked into the playoffs with that win in Bristol, as long as we stay in, I think, the top 20 of points it is. So nonetheless, though, no pit stop necessary at the end of stage 1. We get ready to go green for the start of stage 2. Sheldon Creed at the control car there. A better restart this time around, but still not great, but it was a lot better than the previous ones, as it's time to get amped. Side by side with Michael Roots there in the 48 truck there at the end of the first couple of laps in stage 2. Michael Roots along with David Cornelius, those two drivers have really been picking it up recently and could put these late regular season charges to the playoffs. It's hard to believe that we're like already halfway through the regular season. It's just there's not a lot of races in the Truck Series, obviously, so we're closing in on the playoffs, and it's already getting close to crunch time in this season here now, as we're pretty much out of the picture for the regular season championship, and now as you can see, we make a move around the outside of that 77 of Cornelius as we try to complete the pass on him, and sure enough, we use that outside to our advantage and get in front of him here now as we come through to the final lap of stage 2. Actually lost quite a bit of time to the trucks up in front of us, and Ben Rhodes there in 4th place and beyond. Roots up into 3rd. Creed still leading over Nemechek here now, as I'm just trying to bring this thing home at the end of stage 2 in one piece there, nearly into the outside wall there in the exit of turn 2, but Sheldon Creed leads the way down into turn 3. He won stage 1, and since he took the lead in stage 1, he really hasn't looked back now, but I'm sure he has been looking back, at least in his rearview mirror, because it is full of that Mobile 1 Toyota Tundra for KBM of John Hunter Nemechek, but Creed hangs on to win stage 2, and Roots there in P3. I actually lost the spot to Zane Smith right at the end of that stage. He would actually go around the outside, so I ended up finishing in 6th place here in this second stage. So a lot of work to do in stage 3 if we want to be a threat to at least win the race, and I was a bit surprised by the pace in the truck, and I felt like it had come down to me maybe burning those tires a little bit too much in stage 1. But it will be just over 20 laps of racing remaining here as stage 3 gets underway, and that's actually a great restart for myself. I was not expecting that. Michael Roots, on the other hand, a terrible launch off the grid. Actually, the second row in general just did not have a good restart. So unfortunately, we finally get a good restart, but the second row directly in front of us had a terrible restart, so we really didn't go anywhere, and actually now got Davin Cornelius all over our back bumper down this back straightaway towards turn 3. Creed leads the way into the corner. Nemechek, Rhodes, 2nd and 3rd. Right now, you see Cornelius goes a little bit higher right there, not really able to make anything work here. Zaya, at least, though, gained 2 positions on this opening restart for stage 3, so we go from 6th place to 4th place here. Now, as we've restarted on the outside on every restart so far, and the original start as well, and I feel like that's certainly an advantage to have here tonight in Charlotte, so I was not complaining one bit, to say the least here. But now, unfortunately, lap 27 of the turn 2, I really pushed up on the exit of turn 2, and I lose the spot spot to the 48 of Roots, and here comes a 29 of Joey Stone having a good run here tonight, and he's going to clear me down into turn 3. Stone looking at potentially a must-win scenario if he wants to get into the playoffs, as he's had a miserable start to the season, so we'll see if he's able to maybe pull that off tonight or in these races in the future leading into the end of this regular season. Now as we come through to the back straightaway in lap 28, here comes Zane Smith in the 21 truck now to my back bumpers. We go down into turn 3 as I try to cover him off, and he actually sneaks up the inside, and some contact there with the number 21 of Smith, and actually goes spinning we do through the center of the 3 and 4, and now we get just pile driven into the side by a bunch of trucks, Cornelius, Ryan Truex, and we have picked up a bunch of damage after a crash here as we got spun out by Zane Smith, and that was definitely my fault right there. I was trying to really cover the position and unfortunately just pinched him way too much, and I pretty much killed the truck at this point. It was not going to be able to be competitive throughout the rest of this race, and you're going to see a replay right here. So I didn't think he was going to get to my inside, so I tried to cover it off, and unfortunately we were going to be okay, but then my car just like bounces for some reason, and we get hit by Cornelius, and then that was the finishing hit right there from Ryan Truex. I think we could have been at least somewhat competitive if it wasn't for that. Here's an onboard with Zane Smith down into turn 3. Right there, gets into my left rear. We're okay, but then the truck just bounced for some reason. It was really weird, but we paid the price for it. We had to spend a bunch of time on the pit lane fixing the truck, but we still had over 5 minutes of optional repairs to go, and unfortunately we weren't going to be able to get that done. You can see I would come back out on the track for the restart, hoping we could maybe just get lucky here and hope for an accident or something and see what the pace was compared to these slower trucks on the grid. Well, you can see exactly what we were dealing with here. We had absolutely nothing. So that was going to put an end to our night, unfortunately, here in Charlotte. So we qualified second. We had good speed. We burned the tires up too much in these opening moments of that first and opening stage, and I felt like that really made a difference here in stage 3. And unfortunately, we just got too defensive over the 21 of Zane Smith, and he was not taking it. He was not waiting around. He turned us, and unfortunately, that would put an end to our day here in Charlotte. So now we at least see what happened throughout the rest of this race. That's the best part. If you DNF in this game, you can at least still see what happened throughout the rest of the race. Sheldon Creed would continue to just be in control here in Charlotte. Now, Michael Roots had a very strong run here to end this race in Charlotte, but just Sheldon Creed, nobody had anything for him. We come straight through to the final lap here now, as he had John Hunter Nemechek back up in a second, who would look to his inside. He let Nemechek take the inside. A smart decision there from Sheldon Creed. Nemechek looking for win number 3 and 2 in a row. Not going to happen though, because Creed has such a good momentum build-up on the exit of turn 2 leading into turn 3 that he's going to be able to cruise to victory here tonight in Charlotte. So he will become the second multi-time winner on the season. Austin Hill side by side with Nemechek for second. Hill winless and out of the playoffs so far, but Sheldon Creed wins for the second time this season in Charlotte, as we have to just watch on in disappointment here after a rough night, a rough stage 3 in Charlotte. A lot of trucks with damage, but that was because of the accident that we were involved in there. As you see the finishing order, Travis Brown rounding out the top 10. We're going to see the standings there before we jump into the next couple of races. So right now you see Crafton, Roots, Brown, Cook are the final drivers in the playoffs on just points in general without a win. Hill, Cornelius, O'Brien, the first 3 out. Cornelius is on a tear lately. I could see him getting into the playoffs for sure. He is currently 12 points out. Hill, 10 points out. O'Brien, who was in the playoffs previously, now quite a ways out after some rough runs recently. So Joey Stone as well, quite a ways below that cut line here. As we come through now to round out this episode with the Xfinity and Cup Series races, and Daniel Hemrick started on pole here in the Xfinity Series. David Schildhouse had a miserable qualifying effort. He was in the very bottom quarter of the grid. He was not having a good night. He would rebound to a top 20 finish. Michael Cozy Jr. had qualified decent, but it wouldn't end very decent for Cozy. As you're going to see right here, he had contact with the 90 car of Josh Williams and have a huge hit to the outside wall, and he would have to bring the car immediately to the pit lane at the end of lap 1, and he was already out of this race. So we jumped straight through to the end of this race. Daniel Hemrick would hang on to win here in Charlotte over Tommy Joe Martins and Michael Annette there in second and third. Jeb Burton in P4, and Schildhouse would end up at least rebounding to, I think it was an 18th place finish here, as we do look at that finishing order on your screen. Yes, an 18th place finish for David Schildhouse there. Ty Gibbs just behind him. I will be making another Xfinity start here in the coming episode, so stay tuned on that now, as we are going to be looking to sign for just a multi-race deal for the rest of the season in the same 8 car that we drove for Dale Earnhardt Jr. a few episodes ago. Now to the Coca-Cola 600 though, the long, grueling 600-mile race, 400 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank goodness I did not sit through 400 laps here, so you don't have to worry about that. And whenever we get to the Cup Series, we're definitely not doing 100% races, so we won't have to worry about doing 400 laps at Charlotte here in iRacing. That would be just so painful to race through. I did 367 at Darlington before, and that was miserable enough, but it was still fun, surprisingly, here. There was trouble, though, coming to the final lap of this race. Eric Almirola, Michael McDowell, they come together. They have a huge crash here down into turn one. McDowell pretty much hit the catch fence. Almirola went up and over. He was sliding on his roof. This was the final lap, so no caution came out in iRacing, and Kyle Larson would be leading the way through 3 and 4 over Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch, and Kyle Larson is going to come through to pick up his second win on the season here in the Coca-Cola 600. What a moment that was to start the final lap there, as you're going to see the finishing order on your screen. But that does wrap it up for today's episode. In the next one, we will have 2 races. We're going to have Rockingham, I know, is on the schedule, and I actually don't remember the other track that we'll be going to next. I think it's actually Kentucky in the Truck Series. So Kentucky and Rockingham. Very interested to see how those go. And then we'll have, of course, recaps of Xfinity and the Cup Series, and we'll have the subscriber as well as other content creator race there in the late model series as that season continues for race 2 of 6 in the next episode. So if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time of your day to watch this episode. The members, thank you so much. You'll be at the end of this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.